Guild Wars 2 is a great story in gaming. It was created with the sole purpose to innovate and shake up the vanilla MMO market in 2012. 5 years later, Guild Wars 2 is a mature game, blending tradition with modernization. But many people have forgotten about the living world of Guild Wars 2, and thus with the announcement of its second expansion pack today, it's the perfect time to answer the hard question with Guild Wars 2. Did it fail? Guild Wars 2 was developed in 2012 to compete in the World of Warcraft-dominated MMO market. World of Warcraft had an amazing run up until Wrath of the Lich King, but after Cataclysm in 2011, it was all downhill from there. World of Warcraft was dying out, the echoes of a once legendary game being torn into so many different directions. I think after Wrath, people were just unhappy with the direction of the new games, and there was a window during the time for a new MMO to take the throne. And several games did try in 2011. Rift was first and tried to differentiate itself by promoting events, but failed because everything else was a complete copy and paste from WoW. And then came Star Wars The Old Republic 9 months later, and its fate was even quicker. The Old Republic was, I would say, a shameless ripoff of WoW with voice acting its only innovation. Its gameplay stuck so painfully 10 years in the past the moment it came out. It tapped out before its first year was over, going free to play in November of 2012. So it would be Guild Wars 2 next, to try to battle the mighty giants of World of Warcraft in August of 2012, and so begins the story of Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 jumped into the scene and was praised for bringing some much needed innovation to several key, bone-dry areas in the fading MMO archetype. First, the combats of Guild Wars 2 was just super fun. Abilities were dished out depending on what weapon you had equipped. You could dodge, roll, attack while moving, and combine spells with party members. It just felt really good. But Guild Wars 2 nearly homogenized class participation in a time when people were really used to having a very structured experience. Every class was kind of a jack of all trades, and the Holy Trinity mostly done away with. Yes, there were some defined classes, but everyone had support abilities like healing and signets and could revive upon death using the get up mechanic. While innovative, many people had a hard time adjusting to this new free-for-all game mentality. As a result, your role was less independently important, a crucial selling point for an MMO. But the big ticket item for Guild Wars 2 was that you could enjoy the game in a more relaxed environment. The game promoted a seamless event system and encouraged players to help each other out. It was easy to level and pick up and play. Being able to teleport around the map on a whim, thrive in communal activities, and be able to log off instantly promoted a very user-friendly experience. But this was by far the biggest Achilles heels with Guild Wars 2. It was just too nice of a game for many people. It was a game of great convenience, yet little tension. I think a lot of people miss that danger. The open world PvP, the threat of that stupid ass gnome rogue ambushing you, the rare yet very epic city invasions, and just that tension from being in a competing world. Without opposing factions and on-the-fly PvP, the groundworks for Guild Wars 2 made for a very casual game in the eyes of many people. But it did have the most amazing underwater combat, beautiful, and I mean insanely beautiful art and music ever in a video game. Add in the personal side missions that grew over time, cool cutscenes with very fun voice acting, kick-ass fluid gameplay, platform challenges, and Guild Wars 2 was, on the books, a very compelling, diverse game. In the end, Guild Wars 2 was received well, but not amazingly. Guild Wars 2 sold just over 2 million copies after its first 2 weeks, and then something strange happened. Sales slowed down, for a long time way down, as the game only had 1.5 more million sales during its next year. During that time, 430,000 of those players were actually active. It's not a huge amount, but nothing to sniff over either. As of August of 2015, Guild Wars 2 has sold 5 million copies total, at which point the game was converted to free-to-play. Now looking into 2016, Guild Wars 2 did have a downturn of over half of its average sales since the release of Heart of Thrones the prior year. But take this with a grain of salt, since the game did go free to play in 2015 and has plenty of revenue coming in through its online marketplace. Guild Wars 2 didn't fail as a fun game, but I think it was just a little bit too courteous of a game, which led to it attracting a very specific type of player. It made everything easy and got coined as a casual MMO as a result. Fans who left World of Warcraft wanted something new, that's for sure, but they also wanted challenge. I believe Guild Wars 2 drove out those looking for both. Also, the living world component to Guild Wars 2 was also highly criticized, as your actions really had no permanent effect on the world, something that was very much promised in the trailers and interviews leading up to the launch of Guild Wars 2. But times have changed, and the MMO is no longer the genre of choice for most people. It died out after the renaissance of World of Warcraft. Did Guild Wars 2 fail to see that coming? There's a concept called product lifecycle. It's most likely that Guild Wars 2 entered the market as the genre hit its decline phase. Today, Guild Wars 2 is actually a much better game though. The story itself has evolved a shit ton, the endgame is way more fleshed out now, you've got huge server-wide PvP battles, and you can specialize your class at level 80. Hell, you can even glide now, which is awesome for taking in everything the world has to offer. Guild Wars 2 is still a successful game that may have a long future ahead of it. It's just not for everyone. I think the big question is, does the MMO genre have a long future ahead of it? Thank you very much for watching my Guild Wars 2 video. If you'd like to support the work I do on this channel, feel free to subscribe to Downward Thrust and consider checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/downwardthrust. I want to wish everyone a super duper awesome day, and we'll see you in our next video.